So hello friends, today we are again here to discuss another topic with you, and that is a parliamentary system. Okay, so parliamentary system, you know that in India we have parliamentary system of government. Okay, parliamentary system in India. You know now that in India we have parliamentary system of government. Basically, in modern democracies, there are two types of systems of government. One is presidential system, which is prevalent in United States of America, Brazil, Russia, and some other countries. On the other hand, there is one more system, that is parliamentary system, which emanates from Great Britain or United Kingdom, and this parliamentary system is present in UK, India, Pakistan, and some other countries. Okay. Now, what is the difference between these two systems? We will have a look on this. Then we will discuss the parliamentary system in detail, which is prevalent in India. Basically, in presidential system, the president is the head of the executive. Okay, president is what? Is the head of the executive. But the president is not a member of the legislature. Not a member of legislature, right? You know that a government always has three branches: executive, legislature, executive, and judiciary. Legislature is the parliament, basically. In short, we can say this is the parliament of a country. Executive is the ministry which rules the country. And judiciary, you know, which comprises the Supreme Court and High Court in our country. Now in USA, the executive is headed by the president, but the president is not a member of the legislature. Okay, legislature is different in USA, Senate and House of Representatives. Okay, but they do not. The legislature in USA does not interfere in the working of the president, and the president, who is the head of the executive, does not interfere in the working of the legislature. So in USA, both legislature and the executive work on parallel grounds. The major work is of course done by the executive, whereas the legislature continually criticizes the work of the executive, discusses the work of the executive, okay, and it generally does not interfere in the working of the executive. Okay, this is basically the system of a presidential form of government. Okay, the president in the presidential form of government is directly elected by the people. Okay, is directly elected by the people. Now we come to the parliamentary system, which we have. In the parliamentary system, again there are three branches: executive, legislature, and judiciary. Okay, we forget judiciary here because it does different work of giving judgments and all that. We will concentrate on executive and legislature. Now, in India or in a parliamentary system, the first thing you have to understand is, if a prime minister is there, he cannot become prime minister unless he becomes a member of parliament. Okay, so a prime minister has to first become a member of parliament, and parliament is what? Parliament is a legislature. So the prime minister has to be a member of the legislature first, then he can become the prime minister. Now you will say that there is a provision in our constitution that even without being a member of the legislature, one can become a minister. Yes, he or she can become a minister without being a member of the legislature or parliament. But it has a limit. A person can become a minister in India without being a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. But he can remain minister as such only for 6 months. The provision in Indian Constitution says that a minister can become a minister for 6 months, but after 6 months he cannot remain a minister. If he wants to remain a minister after 6 months also, then he has to get elected either in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. This happened in case of Manmohan Singh, okay, who came from Rajya Sabha. He basically became Prime Minister and later on he became a member of Rajya Sabha. In Arun Jaitley case, who was the Prime Minister of India, in Arun Jaitley's case, he was defeated in Lok Sabha elections from Amritsar. But still he could become Finance Minister of India. How? Because later on the Modi government elected him in the Rajya Sabha. So he remained the Finance Minister for many years. Okay. So you see that in Indian system the difference is there that one can become Prime Minister, one can become a minister, but he has to become a member of either the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha also. In nutshell, we can say that the member of executive in India has to be a member of legislature also. Okay? So in India, executive and legislature are common. That is, executive is also the legislature. Suppose in legislature we have, in the Lok Sabha we have 545 members. In India, in Lok Sabha we have 545 members. But out of these 45, let us say 50 are ministers. 50 are ministers. So these 50 who are ministers will also be members of the parliament. Okay. So we see that the ministers who form a part of the executive, ministers are also part of legislature. So executive and legislature are mixed in India, mix. Okay. But in USA, executive is different, legislature is different. Okay. This is the difference. Now coming to the this parliamentary system. The first point is this, that in India we have parliamentary system at the center and at the states, at both the levels. At both the levels we have parliamentary system. How? I will show you. In the parliamentary system in India, we know that at the central level there is a parliament. Okay. At central level there is a parliament which has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Let us now see what is the system in states. So in states, again we have a legislature, and in states legislature we have again two houses, that is Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. Now this Legislative Council is not present in all the states, but in some states only. Okay. So, but we still have Legislative Assembly in all the states. So basically I want to say that we have a parliamentary system in the central level and in the state level. At both the levels we have parliamentary system. I think you got the idea now. Moving ahead, the second point, executive is responsible to the legislature in India. I already told you how. Sorry, I told you that executive is a member of legislature, but I did not told you that executive is responsible to the legislature. I will explain it to you how. I said executive is responsible to legislature. How? You see that executive comprises the ministers. Now these ministers are ministers only up till then if they enjoy the support of the legislature. If the executive loses the confidence of the parliament, then the ministers have to resign. Okay? You know that in India there is a majority party rule. The party which crosses the magic figure of 272 persons, okay, forms the government. Now, if this number is not there, if majority party or the coalition loses this number and it is shrinked, then what happens? It has to resign. So the point here is executive can remain in office so long as it enjoys the support of legislature. When executive does not have the support of legislature, it has to resign. Moreover, executive is responsible to the legislature for its acts. For example, a railway minister is there and a big railway accident happens and many hundreds of people are dead in that railway accident. Then that railway minister who is an executive, he has to explain to the legislature, that is parliament, he has to explain as to how the accident happened. Okay? What were the things which caused the accident? Okay? And if the pressure is there on the minister to resign from the legislature, he has to resign. Because he was the overall in charge of the railway ministry. And in his leadership a big accident happened. So the responsibility lies with the minister, railway minister, because he is at the top. So he has to resign because the pressure of legislature is there on the minister. Okay? But if the same case happened in USA, the minister may not resign because he is not responsible to the American Senate or American House of Representatives. He may not resign. He does not have to fear. He may continue in office. He is responsible to the people of America, not to the legislature. But in India, railway minister is of course responsible to people of India, but through the legislature. This legislature comes between people of India and the railway minister. And the legislature ensures that the railway ministers, who is part of the executive, resigns. So legislature acts on part of people of India, on the minister, on the executive. Legislature can even ask for the resignation of the prime minister. Okay, so this is the thing. So the point here is executive in a parliamentary system is responsible to the legislature. Earlier we also discussed executive is a part of legislature. Now as a part of legislature is okay, but he is also responsible to the legislature. Executive is responsible to the legislature. Executive is a part of legislature. Executive is also responsible to the legislature. Moving ahead, coming to the next point, that is there is a nomenclature that the presidential system is also known as non-responsible, non-parliamentary system, non-responsible system, non-parliamentary system, or fixed executive. Okay, this is the nomenclature of, this is the names we give to a presidential system. What are the names? This presidential system is also known as non-responsible, government, non-parliamentary government, okay, fixed executive government. Whereas the parliamentary system also has certain names, and they are responsible government, okay, responsible government, Westminster model, because it comes from the West, from Great Britain, that is why Westminster model. Even the prime ministerial government, because it is dominated by the prime minister, which we will discuss later. Okay. Now there was a learned person called Ivor Jennings, Ivor Jennings, Ivor Jennings. He called parliamentary system as a cabinet system. He called parliamentary system as a cabinet system. Why so? A question can come in the mains exam and in the prelims exam. Who called parliamentary system as a cabinet system and why? In the mains exam as why? Why he called it so? The answer to this question is this, that parliamentary system, basically when the parliamentary system, how it works, it is the executive which forms the ministries, and executive forms the ministries in the shape of council of ministers. Council of Ministers, COM. This is a body called Council of Ministers. It's a huge body comprising of 70 to 80 ministers at the central level. Okay. But out of these 70 to 80 ministers, only few ministers, let us say 15 ministers are part of the cabinet. Part of the cabinet. These ministers are important ministers like Prime Minister, Home Minister, Defense Minister, Foreign Affairs Minister, etc. Okay. So these 15 ministers will be part of the cabinet. Okay. And they are the ministers who take important decisions for the country. That is why Ivor Jennings called parliamentary system as a cabinet system. Because ultimately parliamentary system shrinks to cabinet system, because it is the cabinet who makes all the decisions. Okay. Moving ahead. There is one more term called kitchen cabinet. Kitchen cabinet. This term originated from Indira Gandhi's tenure, that Indira Gandhi used to take advice from certain colleagues and certain household members also, okay, for the country's important decisions. Okay. So we talked about cabinet, which comprises 15 ministers. In the kitchen cabinet, one or two important ministers or some person from outside the ministry can come. For example, the principal secretary of the Prime Minister or private secretary of the Prime Minister, or some other family member also. Maybe the husband of the Prime Minister or the wife of the Prime Minister can come into kitchen cabinet. So kitchen cabinet is basically an informal term, informal body, whereas the cabinet is a formal body. Okay. So kitchen cabinet is casually called because kitchen cabinet, it is a cabinet of the Prime Minister which takes the important decisions for the country. Okay. So moving ahead, now we will do the features of the parliamentary form of government. First feature is nominal and real executive. Okay. So coming to the features of the parliamentary government. Features of parliamentary government. First feature is real and nominal executive. This is the first feature. It says real and nominal executive. Now I told you that executive is there in the parliamentary system. Okay, executive is there. And there are two types of executive basically. The executive in India is headed by the president, then the vice president, then the prime minister, and then the council of ministers. President, vice president, prime minister, and council of ministers. Now, there are various provisions in our constitution which says that the president will act on the advice of the prime minister. There is a provision that says the president shall act on the advice of the prime minister. The word shall, S-H-A-L-L, denotes that the president cannot do anything on its own, except some things of course, but otherwise in all the decisions he will have to depend upon the prime minister's advice. Okay, I am not quoting the relevant articles right now, we will do it in detail later on about the articles, but here we are discussing only the features. Okay, so the president is advised by the prime minister. Okay, so the real executive here is the prime minister and his council. You can say council of minister is the real executive, or simply you can say council of ministers headed by the prime minister is the real executive. And the nominal executive is whom? The president is nominal executive. Okay, one more thing. The nominal executive, that is the president, he is called as de jure executive, and the real executive is called as de facto executive, that is a real executive. Okay, moving ahead, coming to the second point, majority party rule. Majority party rule. You know, I already told you that to cross the magic figure is the basic thing which is needed to form a government at the center and in the state also. So whichsoever party has the majority in the Lok Sabha is the party which forms the government. Okay, so that is why we say that majority party rule. The party which will have majority in the Lok Sabha, it will form the government. Now, take a case when no party has majority in a general election. What will happen then? Two or more parties can join hands to cross the magic figure to become the largest coalition parties, largest coalition like NDA, okay, UPA, okay, NDA is National Democratic Alliance, UPA is United Progressive Alliance, etc. UPA is an alliance of Congress, whereas NDA is an alliance of BJP and its allies. Recently, two allies of BJP parted ways, Akali Dal and this Shiv Sena. Okay, so whatsoever party and whatsoever coalition has the majority in the Lok Sabha has the prerogative to form the government in the country. Okay, so majority party rule. Coming to the third point, collective responsibility, very important point. Collective responsibility. Now here, whose collective responsibility we are talking about? Third point, collective responsibility. So whose collective responsibility here we are talking about? The Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers is collectively and individually responsible to the legislature, or we can also say the Council of Ministers is responsible to the Parliament. Okay, that this is the collective responsibility. Okay, that is why When the Prime Minister resigns, the whole cabinet resigns because they are collectively responsible. When the leader resigns, the whole cabinet has to, the whole Council of Ministers has to resign. Okay, coming to the next point, political homogeneity. Political homogeneity. Okay, these are the features of parliamentary form of government. Political homogeneity means if a party does not have the majority in the Lok Sabha, what will happen? I already told you, a number of like-minded parties will come together and join hands. A number of like-minded, same-minded parties will come together and join hands. And when the magic figure will be arrived by joining hands of 2 or more or even 10 or more parties, okay, then we will say that these parties have political homogeneity. They are politically homogeneous. Their bent of mind is identical. Their bent of mind is same. They have the same ideology. Okay. So the parties having same ideology form the coalition government and they join hands in case of lack of majority, and when they have the majority by joining hands, then they form the government. Okay. Next is double membership. Double membership, I already told you. Double membership. Whose double membership? We are talking about ministers. The ministers have double membership. That is, they are members, they are ministers and they are members of legislature also. So they are members of executive and they are members of legislature. They are members of both. Okay, double membership. So a minister is an MP first and minister second. For example, Dr. Jitendra Singh, our Minister of Personnel, he is a member of Parliament from Jammu Udhampur constituency, Kathua Udhampur constituency. He is a member of Parliament and he is a minister also. So that is why we say double membership. Okay. So basically, a minister is a member of executive also and he is a member of legislature also. So that is why we say double membership. One more thing here I want to tell you. One can become a minister without becoming an MP. I already told you this thing about 10 minutes back. One can become a minister. For example, Arun Jaitley was made a minister by Modi government, but he was defeated in the Lok Sabha elections. So still he became finance minister. Why? How? Because he was made a member of Rajya Sabha after he became a minister. So he continued as finance minister for many years. Okay. So there is a provision in the constitution that a person can become a minister, but for becoming a minister, the qualification is that one has to be elected in either house of the parliament within 6 months of his becoming the minister. Coming to the next point, leadership of the Prime Minister. Leadership of Prime Minister. Now the Prime Minister is of course the leader of the ruling party. He is the leader of the ruling coalition party. Okay, he is the leader of the parliament. Okay, he is the leader of the majority party, of the majority coalition, of the parliament also. So nothing works without the leadership of the Prime Minister. So leadership of the Prime Minister is a very important feature of the parliamentary form of government. Coming to the next point, that is dissolution of the lower house. Dissolution of lower house. Lower house is in India is Lok Sabha, and it is the house which has members who are directly elected by the people, and that is why we say that it's a popular house. Okay, and it's very powerful also because members who are directly elected by the people are very powerful because they enjoy the mandate of the country. Okay, so dissolution of the Lok Sabha. So every 5 years, the Lok Sabha has to be dissolved so that new elections are to be ordered. Before the expiry of 5 years, the Prime Minister can advise the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha. This is a very important feature. So the Prime Minister can ask the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha whenever he wants, even before the expiry of 5 years. So it is a very important point because it is saying that Prime Minister advises the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha anytime. It means that Prime Minister, who is the executive, has the power to dissolve the legislature. Very important power it is. So executive in India has the power to dissolve the legislature. Okay, so coming to next point. The oath of secrecy. Oath of secrecy. Every member of parliament and every minister especially have to take an oath of secrecy before entering upon their office. So this secrecy of oath of secrecy is done so that there are certain things which are very important to the country. There are certain intelligence inputs. There are certain restrictions which cannot be disclosed to the media. There are certain things which cannot be disclosed to the media, to the common man. Military secrets are there. Defense secrets are there. Where are our defense installations are there. So things like that, ministers come to know about them, and that is why the oath of secrecy is there. So this makes an end of our this features of parliamentary form of government lecture. Tomorrow we will move ahead with another lecture. Thanks so much.